Hello and welcome back to another video. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. But today we are taking a look at Winter Storm Gail, which is going to be a major nor'easter impacting the large population centers of the I-95 corridor in the Northeast, including Boston, Philly, DC, and New York City. New York City is a very interesting one, and we'll talk about that. But let's look at the Weather Channel here. They made an article on this storm as they named it themselves. Major nor'easter named Winter Storm Gail by the Weather Channel is likely to bring heavy snow, strong winds, and some coastal flooding to parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. That's what nor'easters do. They have those strong winds that kick up some coastal flooding, so that's the ocean kind of coming up onto the shoreline. That happens a lot in the Boston area, believe it or not, because of the way that the geography is formed over here. You get these storm systems, you have these straight east winds, and you kind of have this little funnel here for all of that water, and that is what causes most of the coastal flooding. But you could see some on the Jersey Shore, maybe into the Long Island Sound in some spots, maybe even into down East Maine. The other thing that it does is it brings major snow totals if you get that cold air in place. And you can see here we have this high pressure that brings all that cold air in here. Polar air mass that has been locked up. It's first driven down by Winter Storm Flynn, which strengthens off the coast of the Maritimes of Canada, brings in that polar air mass, and then a high pressure sets in place, sticks that cold air mass into the Northeast, and it solidifies in there, leaving this low pressure not much chance to warm things up, as usually happens ahead of that storm system. Warm front usually warms things up a little bit above freezing, and then maybe you get some snow on the back end. That's usually what happens in the Northeast, especially in the last couple of years. But let's take a look at the current alerts from the National Weather Service. So we have winter storm watches in place, a few winter storm warnings, but a lot of winter weather advisories here from Pennsylvania, Maryland, even West Virginia, and even down into Virginia itself. We also have this area over here from Colorado to Nebraska to Oklahoma to Kansas, and even into Texas as well, that will be seeing some snowfall at the beginning of the system, and that will kind of lead things up to this major nor'easter. So let's move on here to the winter weather outlooks, which will be tracking the probabilities of seeing certain snowfall amounts. This is from the National Weather Service. So here is the probability of accumulating 1 inch or more. So you can see here the National Weather Service thinks that parts of Oklahoma and Kansas have an 80% chance of receiving at least an inch of snowfall. Now, if we move into the nor'easter portion of this, right over here, you can see a big area of 95%, at least an inch. And you get very subtle areas. This only goes out 3 days. We're going to be going out 84 hours, so that's a little bit over 3 days. So this will be loading in a little bit, but you also have these chances over here for 18 inches or more. Crazy stuff, and even into that 20% chance in parts of Pennsylvania to receive 18 inches within 24 hours. That wreaks havoc on the roads and the crews that'll be plowing the roads, so that impacts travel a lot. So Thursday morning commute might be rough, Wednesday evening commute might be rough, but most of the storm system will be happening Wednesday night into Thursday. So more of that Wednesday night commute will mostly be maybe a little bit of snow, a little bit of sleet, but those roads might be a little bit drier. But you get 18 inches overnight. That Thursday morning commute might be roads closed due to plowing. Probably many states of emergency is going to be called for this storm system. Just how quick this happens and how much snow we get from this system wreaks havoc. I cannot say that enough. This thing will wreak havoc on the southern New England and mid-Atlantic areas of the United States. So let's move on here to the NAM 3-kilometer model, where we will go over this storm into some really finite details. So I'm zoomed in on the Northeast here. So here's Winter Storm Flynn. That sets the stage, right? You get some snowfall here from West Virginia into Maine. That snow's sticking around because there's going to be very cold temperatures behind this as this storm system strengthens off the coast. And now we start to set the stage for Winter Storm Gail. But let's go back out here to the eastern U.S. Right? We have this right here. So this is this storm system coming out of the Rockies. This made landfall in the Pacific Northwest, came across the Rocky Mountains, and now it's coming out into the plains. Now, this thing is going to pull up some Gulf moisture over here, but then that snow kind of dies off. Maybe a little snowfall here into parts of the Great Lakes region, but now, nor'easter time, this thing is strengthening quickly. So, 1,000 millibars about over here. Let's go to the 12-kilometer model, get those extra hours in. You can see this thing will strengthen very quickly. Not to the degree of bombogenesis, where it's strengthening 24 millibars in 24 hours, but no, it's just those few millibars that make a huge difference in some of those winds. Since this thing is so close to the coastline, if those isobars here, which are these little lines, get really close, those are stronger winds. So you can see some isobars pretty close in here, and that's where this storm system is having a battlefront with that cold air, and that's where we get these heavy snow areas over here. Now this thing rolls out, and this is like Thursday night. So you can see, starts to snow in DC. Now the NAM is actually showing more rain. I think that this thing will have enough cold air for some snow in DC, some snow in Philly, New York, and Boston. NAM shows just New York and Boston. So there's still a lot of things up in the air here, so we definitely have to watch out for these little finite details that may make a huge difference. So here are the temperatures. So here is when the storm is starting to come up the coast. You can see 20 degrees in most of the northeast cities here. Now, it does warm things up a little bit, but those 20-degree temperatures stay in place and just rotate. That's huge, because that means that we have all that extra cold air for this thing to develop off of. Total positive snow depth change. The NAM has this thing, an inland storm. That's weird, because most of the heaviest snow comes from over here, and that's why I'm skeptical of the NAM 12-kilometer model right now. There's not a lot of energy up here for those heavy snow totals. I think that we'll see a slight change in this, moving it more southeast, having those major population centers in this green, that more than 1 foot. But that's just one model. The GFS takes a complete different spin on this storm, has this storm system kind of dying off. So you can see here, it starts this turn toward the east early. It's going to take a turn toward the east early in this model. That leaves most of the major population centers out of those heavy snow totals. So snow depth, you can see here, we don't get much. DC, probably getting like 3 inches. Philly probably hitting the jackpot here with 5. New York getting probably 4. Boston getting 0 to 1. So definitely a complete different spin. Then you have the opposite spin. This is the NAM. This is not the NAM. This is the European. The European has this. Kind of has that NAM setup, but DC, you're getting like probably 6-7 inches. Philly, you're getting 13-14. New York, you're getting 17-18. And Boston, you're getting probably 8-9. Huge differences in the models here. This is going to be a fun one to cover. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you can get a notification whenever I post, because I can guarantee you probably 9 times out of 10 until this storm passes, I will be posting about this storm, because this thing is so interesting to cover. I cannot get enough of covering this system. So what do you think is going to happen? Comment in the comment section down below. That's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.